be a little bit tougher of a subject, but I think it's one of those things that we have to remember as homeschooling parents. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Mandy, the Handmade Homeschooler, and today I have another homeschool hot take, and it's probably one of those ones that's going to get me a little bit of pushback, but I think that it's important, and I think we all need the reminder from time to time. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Mandy, and I do lots of homeschooling reviews. I am a curriculum reviewer, I am a book reviewer, and books are basically my life. I've been a homeschooling parent now for going on 8 years, I think, and I am a former teacher. I have links to all of our favorite curriculum down below, including some links to some free trials and things like that that might help you on your homeschooling journey. All right, so the topic of the day, I think, needs to be gratefulness. Now, it's so easy to fall into this trap, especially as people who use social media. It is so easy to fall into this trap, and I see people do it, especially this time of year, like crazy. And if you just spend 5 or 10 minutes on Instagram and Facebook in the homeschooling communities, you're gonna see that I'm right. And it's just so easy this time of year because people, homeschooling parents everywhere, are just feeling stressed out, burnt out, want to be done with the school year. And I get that. Look, this is like my 8th year homeschooling. I totally get it. It's every teacher, is even regular teachers this time of year are burnt out. Like, we just want the school year to be done. We are pulling in the cart with the TV on it. Do they still do that? I did that when I was teaching. Shows you how old I am. We did lots of movie days. We were just trying to get through to the end of the year. But one of the things that you will find this time of year is complaining. And it's really hard because we are at that point where we just want to be done. Like, we just want to get the year over with. We want summer. It's May. Like, come on, hurry up. I get it. And you will find funny reels about it. Every now and then I'll make one. It's a joke. Relax. But it's really easy when you spend so much time doing that and viewing that kind of content and seeing people complain about it in the groups all the time to just start feeling really overwhelmed, stressed out, and you just want to be done. And you forget how blessed we are to be able to do this. And I just want to send out that reminder, okay? And don't hate me for this, but homeschooling is not legal everywhere. And in fact, we are extremely blessed to even be able to do this. So I just want you to keep that in mind this time of year when we feel like our backs are against a wall and we just need to get to that like 180-day spot before we can finally breathe and sleep in and do all the things that we want to do. And you know, we have, a lot of us, like me included, we have bookshelves of shiny new curriculum that we want to open up, and we can't do that yet because we're trying to finish the other ones. I get it. I'm there too. I just want you to remember to be grateful that we can even do this in the first place. Just this morning, I read an article about a couple who was arrested for homeschooling. I'm not even kidding. No, it was not in this country, but it's a wake-up call to us who are able to homeschool in the United States or in another country that it might still be legal to homeschool. And, you know, especially with the way things are going sometimes in education, I sometimes question, am I even going to be able to do this and get my kids through before, you know, they change the laws? So just 2 weeks ago, my own state had lawmakers trying to push this like homeschooling check-in thing that was disguised as like as something else, which they always do that, and liberal lawmakers are usually notorious for doing that, which is why we have to stay on top of these things. And when we see them, we need to call them out. We need to call our legislators, and we need to tell them how we feel about this stuff. And, you know, I posted about it in my group so we could all start making those phone calls for all of us who live in the same state that I do. And luckily, it probably won't go through because luckily we have a Republican majority, and that is probably not going to happen. But it shows you that these things are capable of going through, and we might not always have the freedoms that we have now to homeschool. So while we have them, and while homeschooling is still legal in all of the states here in the United States, we need to be thankful for that, and we need to thank God that we have the ability to even do this rather than complaining so much about it on social media. We need to constantly be thankful, and we need to constantly thank God that we can do this in our country and that we have the freedom right now to be able to do that. We might not always be able to say that we have the freedom to do this, and laws can change. And luckily, it doesn't look like homeschooling is going to be outlawed here anytime soon. But the story that I read today was such a wake-up call. It was a story from last year, and it did not make worldwide headlines. It made Christian news headlines. But there is a couple who is serving a prison sentence in Cuba for homeschooling their kids. Now, they got the husband, this was a pastor in Cuba, and his wife, and there were other things that they got him on for his church and things like that. But the wife specifically is serving an 18-month prison sentence for homeschooling her kids because they were being bullied for being Christians in Cuba. I want you to think about this for a minute. Your kids, what would they do? Where would they go? And they would have to go back into the school system, possibly into foster care, depending on your personal situation. I don't know, but I cannot imagine sitting in a prison cell for 18 months because I decided to educate my kids at home and do this. So I think sometimes we tend to focus on such a narrow view of what's going on in our world rather than looking at the big picture. Like, we are incredibly blessed by God to be able to have the right to do this, to be able to bring our kids up the way we want to. Homeschooling is not legal everywhere, and there are people who are arrested for it in other countries. I mean, countries like North Korea, Iran, most Muslim countries do not allow homeschooling. I'm not sure in Asia what the laws are. You would have to look, online. But I remember when I lived in Japan, homeschooling was not a thing, and you would be super weird if you homeschooled. That's just not even something that they, as a people, would really consider when I lived over there. I think even if it was legal, they would look at you like, are you insane? Much more so than here. Like, here it's a much different story, and you get much different reactions than you would in a place like that. So take that for what it's worth. But as someone who lived over there and was immersed in the culture for so long, that would be super, super weird to them, and they would think that you were absolutely out of your mind. So I want you to focus on the gratefulness, especially this time of year, and that will help you get through to the end and hopefully energize you over the summer to get ready for the next school year. And I understand this time of year is a really difficult time of year, but I just wanted to send you this reminder in case you were kind of in the place that a lot of us tend to be. A lot of teachers tend to get pushed to this place this time of year. So I did just want to send you a little note of encouragement, and I hope that this does encourage you to pray, to be thankful, and to just enjoy your kids while you have them. Because remember, we only get to do this for a certain amount of time, and most of our lives, our kids are going to be grown, and I know a lot of people just absolutely roll their eyes at statements like that, like, oh, don't even tell me in the midst of babies and diapers and toddlers and screaming. I know, I get it. But as somebody who has now teenagers, and I'm facing that reality of they're going to be gone in a couple years, that's something that I can wholeheartedly say it did go by so fast. That the saying that the days are long but the years are short, you don't realize how short they are until your baby is big. Okay, that's my hot take for the day. Hopefully I don't have too many angry comments telling me to hush my mouth. So I just thought it would be a nice little encouragement to some of us just to remember because it is important that we remember, and it is important that we give thanks in every circumstance. Because remember, the word tells us that we are to do everything for the Lord. So even on those hard days, remember, we're doing it for the Lord. And even on the days that you don't want to, we're doing it for Him. And ultimately, all things are for His glory. So remember that on the really, really hard days, especially at the end of the year, because there's a lot more hard days at the end of the year than the beginning of the year sometimes. I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you have a great rest of your day and happy homeschooling.